everybody. Welcome to the Edgewater. Look at all the faces. Obviously, we got some emails today, didn't we? So my name's Mark Christopher, longtime radio guy. Also, you see me on KCTS Public Television. But just a quick rundown about the Edgewater. I mean, this is where the Beatles stayed in '64. The Beatles suite is still here. In fact, this was the only hotel in '64 when the Beatles toured America for the first time. Seattle was number 3 of the 29 cities in 32 days. Talk about a schedule. This hotel wasn't trashed. It was the only one on the American tour not trashed. Of course, we had the big barbed wire fence and plywood out front that kind of kept the kids back here. If you see those famous pictures of Paul and Ringo fishing from the window, okay, they didn't catch any fish, but the fishing rods actually hung on the wall over here in the lounge for years. They never had a plaque on it. And over the years, with all the remodeling here in the new ownership, I've always wondered, where are the fishing rods? You know, people still have pieces of the carpet, bed sheets they got from the room. Over the years, there was one U.S. reporter. Most people didn't know this. A guy named Larry Kane was hired in his 20s on the East Coast to hang with the Beatles during their first tour in '64. And we got to interview him here in Seattle. Some of us maybe in TV and radio might remember his book, Ticket to Ride. One woman who worked out here at the front desk who was dating a guy at the Space Needle at the time, and Paul and Ringo took off late at night after the concert and actually went on top of Space Needle. And everybody doesn't believe that. Well, of course, nobody knew they left the hotel. Even Larry Kane said, I heard they left the building and the Edgewater somehow got on transportation. Anyway, who would think the group behind me here, some of you guys who are here tonight, Joe Bithorn and I go way back. When Rain first came to experiment in the Seattle market, it was back in the late 80s, early 90s. These guys were playing Meekers, all right, down in Kent, Renton, whatever. And I came across them through Merrily Rush, of all people, and I said, we got to get in the Parker's Ballroom. And we did, and in no time, Joe, you remember, we packed the place with 2,000 people. And then the goal was, let's get you to the Paramount, and we finally did that. And then when Letterman moved into the Ed Sullivan Theater, a director of Beatles Expo, who I co-produced with, and Bill Staten from Almost Live was a co-producer, we did a big Beatles Expo. That's right. And Letterman said, you know, hey, we'd like to put him in the Ed Sullivan Theater the night we finally moved there. But at the time, there were some management decisions, and they said, we don't think we're good enough. And it never happened. Not good enough? You're about to see how good they are. Some of you got tickets to go to the Moore Theater last night. If you haven't seen these guys, it is the closest thing to a Beatles concert. These guys, 30 years. They've been playing, bringing in. Joe, you've been making a living at it, as we talked on the radio. What a cool thing. I want to be a Beatle and make a living at it. And how good are they? They are the only group, other than the Love concert there in Vegas. These guys pay royalties and for rights to Sony to do this. So now enjoy acoustics. A couple of songs here, just a treat of what they're all about. Ladies and gentlemen, with a tribute to the Beatles, this is Rain.
Time to be here in Seattle. It's great. Hope you guys love the city. Always had a great time there. A little bit more. This is the sound check. It's alright. Darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun to blue. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright.
Beatles songs can you guys actually play? And is every show different?
It can't be. It can no longer be different because it's so structured with sound and lights and video and everything that we're doing that we have to stick to a script now. So, but it used to be that we could probably pull out of the hat maybe 200 songs and change the sets up nightly. That's what we used to do in Meekers and in the clubs over there.
How long were you on Broadway?
We performed from October 2010 to the end of through July, all the way into July of 2011. We were at Neil Simon first, and then we went over to Brooks Atkinson. But yeah, New York.
When does this tour end, and what are you doing after that?
The tour never ends. It never ends. I mean, we're going through to January to May, but there's all kinds of stuff in the works. So.
Flight lessons. We're gonna learn fly.
What's your second favorite city to play in?
Second favorite. I'll tell you, Seattle is definitely one of the tops for sure. I'd say Seattle for me personally. Second favorite? Everybody's still working. Everyone that's an original member of Rain is still part of the show. We're still doing it, and but being with the schedules that we've got and people having to be able to have a life every once in a while, we rotate in and out. Yeah. But there's 3 different casts.
Can you explain that Rain, the name, doesn't come from the song?
It doesn't come from, it was Mark Lewis's band a long time ago. It was an original band in Los Angeles. It's called Rain, spelled like, Reign of the King. And they introduced the Beatles set into their original set, and before you know it, they really started to draw like that, and people just assumed Rain, like the song Rain by the Beatles. So.
Where does everyone come from?
I'm from Chicago.
New York City, New York, Manhattan.
Dallas, Texas.
Toronto, Ontario.
How old were you when you first heard the Beatles?
Oh, that's a trick question.